All right. Hello and welcome to Sunday afternoon Tai Chi with me, Carlos, and we're also joined by Banu. So if you're new, welcome. Glad you found us. And if you're a regular, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're sticking with your practice. And it's always a pleasure to practice with you. So if you're brand new, this video or this class is sort of a smorgasbord of a bunch of different things we're going to do in the next half hour or 45 minutes. It would be a full hour, except for our class is usually at least half of very close tactile two-person techniques where we're actually touching. So obviously those are out and you can't really do them even. You can do some of them as a solo form, and we might do some things solo. But anyway, so this is a little more abbreviated. This movement we're doing here is called wrapping the pole. It's just a little loosening up exercise. If your arms are not moving freely, you need to just relax even more, and we're just move from the waist and let the arms just naturally flop. So the arms, this will be the last time that our arms are like noodles, okay? So if your arms won't move freely, maybe it's because of tension in the shoulders, okay? So, and then, as I mentioned before, if you have tension and you notice it in your Tai Chi practice, it's a good chance. A lot of tension comes from just physical pain. So I can't blame that. I can't blame that on you. So if you move with difficulty or you don't have good range of motion, it could just be because of pain. So that's fine. Just do the best you can. So we're doing our nice big shoulder roll. Let's go around the other direction. So for those of you who are joining us, if you're regulars, some things that we do a lot of over and over again, and rather than get bored, hopefully you can go deeper into these movements. So every time we roll our shoulders, this is not even Qigong, this is, nobody owns this movement, but hopefully you're articulating even more, you're appreciating the amazing shoulder joint. The shoulder joint has, they say of all the joints in the body, it has the most range of motion and the least support, so it's easiest to damage, and it should be the weakest, but it's not weak, it's very strong. And so we should appreciate our shoulders more. Let's counter rotate, or not counter rotate, just rotate each shoulder individually. Let's reverse that. And I think we've mentioned before that if you're sitting around a lot lately, don't confuse that for relaxation necessarily. You could be very tense sitting around the house worrying about stuff. So hopefully this you can do that will really relax you. Let's go one shoulder forward, one shoulder backward. Remember, if this is confusing, just try to just get out of the way of your own body. Let your own body do what it knows how to do, and don't try to overthink these movements, because your body knows how to do a lot of these things that we practice, but your mind won't let you. So we need to just sometimes let our mind get out of the way. That's not just Tai Chi, that's a lot of things in life too. All right, so shake your shoulders out. Let's inhale the shoulders just straight up, and then just exhale, drop them down. Inhale up, exhale down. Okay, see that nice bounce. That nose where I'm starting to get relaxed. So you guys, you have to understand how hard this is for me. What I really love about our class is the two-person techniques, and to have that removed is just, it just makes me very sad. So we're just doing the best we can with our solo movements. So let's do one of our real basics, the single-handed teacup exercises. Comes from Bagua. Bagua is known for circular coiling movements. Why don't you guys go back to wrapping the pole just for a second. I'll be right back. All right, so we have our gloves so we can see the hands better. You can see the left and right. So when we're doing some of these Qigong movements, you can mirror me, but just so you know, orange is my right hand and yellow is my left hand. Okay, so we're back to this. It's back to this single-handed teacup. I'm not letting the tea tip over, come around to here. So remember, this is not an arm movement. This is a whole body movement. Okay, I am sort of mentally leading with my hand. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm letting my whole body twist and turn whatever it wants to do. So a lot of times, I'll step back. So a lot of times we're told to lead with the waist, but there are precedents also. There's other philosophies where you lead with your eyes, or you allow your hands to lead the chi. So in this case, my consciousness is focused on this teacup. If I wanted to generate any power, though, I might lead with my elbow, or again, I might power through with the waist, but power is not really too important with this. So they call this movement of the back, if I just let this go, they call that a dragon back, what my back is doing now. If I had like a stripe down the center of my shirt, you could see it better. Okay, and then, so let's do, and so this can be done very minimally, right? This is also my teacup exercise. Okay, and you could spill the tea as long as you're trying, as long as you know which way is up, as long as you know which side you're trying to keep up. If it spills, at least your intent was correct. And then just for fun, I'll turn sideways or obliquely away. So remember, it's all about intent. You do the best you can as long as you know what you're trying to do. Right? So if this hurts or something, then don't do it, right? So anyway, so let's do the other hand. I guess we lost Banu. He got bored already. So I don't know if you got my email concerning this class. You may notice that I'm getting a little bit more realistic in my expectations on how much people are going to actually be practicing. If you think about when there used to be the Tai Chi magazine, I will admit that I would get the magazine and I would just flip through it and maybe read one article at most, and then set it aside maybe for I don't know how long. So honestly, that might be what you do with a video like this. If you like Qigong, you might do some of the Qigong. If you like the form, you might do the form. If you like some of our drills, you might do that. And you might dip into it, come back later, or just be happy knowing it's there. And that's fine too. So I'm trying to be more realistic in my expectations on what we can accomplish here during this sort of adverse period here. So now let's do this again, and let's get even more movement in here, this sort of whipping action. Okay, so this is going to come in, and this is similar to some of our two-person techniques, because this is actually going to contact the body all the way around back. I'll turn around in a moment, and then it's going to come around, way around, so I'm really turning, but I'm not pivoting my feet. Keep your feet parallel, please, and that will accentuate the twisting, and it'll also, I think as we mentioned last time, it'll sort of compress the spring, right? We want the spring to develop some compression. If I was to pivot my feet, it might look neater, but I'm not getting any of this twisting. I've lost a lot of this twisting. So I'm going to turn sideways now, or obliquely, so you can see this. I'm going to keep my feet parallel. My hand is just lightly staying in contact with my body just for this little period down here. It's sort of it's like our sticking, concept of sticking. Do as much or as little as you can or want to. All right, I'm going to turn back and we'll do the other hand. So if you want to do both hands, you have to do them in such a way as it doesn't conflict with the twisting and the turning. So what I mean by that is you can do both hands, and that's fine, but I just lost my twisting and turning. I'm not moving my waist at all anymore. So if you want to add the second hand, oh wait, first I'll turn away from you obliquely with this hand. Okay, so it comes here. In fact, you don't need to see my feet, so I can come in even closer. And you don't even need to see my head. I'm really exaggerating now. And then I actually have turned my toes in, or my feet inward to Kobu stance, and that's really accentuating the twisting. Okay, so to add the second hand, and again, you don't need to see my feet here. I'm glad I remembered that. To add the second hand, you start here, and then just kind of naturally add that staggered second hand in. Something like that. I think I may have gotten a little out of sync. All right, good enough. Okay, enough of that. So, getting back to our two-person techniques, there's very few of them that really are satisfying done by ourselves, but there is one. So our lead follow exercise, I think this comes from Xing Yi. Again, you don't have to see my feet here. This is the one. This is not push hands. In other words, we're not standing right in front of each other. If you're doing this with a partner, your partner's over there. They are facing the other direction, but they're offset. But don't even worry about going and grabbing a partner yet. I think we'll do this as a solo exercise just to feel how this works, what we're supposed to be feeling. So I have one hand up and one hand down. It really doesn't matter. Some people say, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. For our purposes, it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to start. Well, first of all, shake your shoulders out. Okay, let's start again. So one hand forward, one hand back. Okay, so I will allow my body to turn from side to side, but that's not really as key as it was in what we just did. Okay, so what we want to start to feel here, like in silk reeling, we want to feel some pulling and some pushing. Okay, but don't favor one over the other. So if you're consciously pushing the hand forward and kind of forgetting the hand going back, see if you put your consciousness in the hand pulling back, and then let's work on just making this a whole body movement and not 4 separate movements. One hand up, one hand down, one hand forward, one hand back. It's not 4 separate movements. It's like one completely unified, unbroken movement. And think about the opposites going on here. Since one hand is up, one hand is down, they're both doing the opposite of each other, and one hand's going back, one hand's going forward, so that those are completely opposite. So if I change one, so first of all, you really should start feeling where you couldn't just stop one arm without the other arm stopping. So just try it. No, it won't work. If one stops, the other has to stop. And then try something else. If one hand flips over, the other hand flips over too. It seems to work the best at the conclusion of the forward back flip. So you should feel like there's some strange connection between the two which can't be broken, even if you wanted to. I hope you feel that. Now, if we were doing this with a partner, we would start to get into who's leading and who's following. But don't worry about that. You can go back to your own body. Is the hand pulling back? Is that slightly leading? And the hand pushing forward, is that following, or is it the other way around? If you're like a natural pusher, you're feeling this pushing more than you're feeling the pulling. And maybe if you have a bias towards pulling, you'd feel that pulling, and then the pushing hand is sort of following. But the other thing we can explore is this splitting, or lié. And splitting means that they're fueling each other. And we explored that in the last video where, one cannot happen without the other, and one is causing the other, but they're both causing each other. So for example, if I just stopped here and I held this hand here and then pulled this hand back, I just felt I felt power coming through this hand. So you can try that. So you can flip this hand over And then, so you sort of, and again, there's this compression. So if I don't let anything move and then start to draw this hand back, I feel this hand want to come forward. If you can feel that, that's good. That's what we want, right? And I imagine you could do it the other way. So imagine somebody's grabbing your wrist here, pushing this hand forward, pulls that wrist back. I imagine you could develop some pretty good power here. So if it was just an arm movement, pulling my hand back, I wouldn't have much power. But if I push this hand back and allowed the waist and the legs to get involved, I imagine I would have a lot more power. We can't test it. I have no one here to test it with. So anyways, so that's our lead follow. And practice this at will. And you look pretty funny in the grocery line, the checkout line at the grocery store. But you can play around with this as a moving meditation. You don't have to exaggerate like I was. You can do small frame movements. Very similar to like a silk reeling type of movement. And you can really lose yourself in these movements. Okay, great. And just so you know, another thing, there's many different types of chi and these feelings. I'm trying to get you to sort of feel this like compression and this power and stuff like this, but you can also have just a real basic sort of floaty feeling, which is equally legitimate. You just don't really develop much power in your floaty feeling. So now I'm just sort of keeping my chi very light, keeping the chi on the upper sides of my arms, and no big deal. And I just get this very effortless floaty feeling, like my arms and hands are pumped full of helium, or they're just like clouds, right? So very effortless. But I'm not feeling so much of that twisting, turning, compressing, or opening, closing. Anyway, they're both equally valid and should be explored. So then we'll do a static qigong where we're not going to be moving, although you can add some movement to this if you wanted to. So normally we take a lot of our weight in our quadriceps and we don't squat down so far that that the weight goes into the glutes. But there is a movement or a posture from Iron Shirt Qigong called holding the golden urns containing the ashes of our ancestors. And in this case, we don't have to have parallel feet. And you can take a nice wide stance here if you wanted to, and begin, and so hold the golden urns containing the ashes of your ancestors. And then we're going to sink down. So I've already gone beyond just the front of the thighs and moving. You can feel weight coming into the glutes, right? And then open the chest and shoulders, pull the hands back, flatten out the hands. Luckily, we've already warmed up our wrists, shoulders, and elbows doing our teacup exercises. So in Iron Shirt Qigong, you can go up and down, but I'm just going to stay here. Or you can do a little up and down. Exhale, press up. Inhale, sink down. I don't want you to hurt your knees. I want your knees to be lined up straight with your feet. And if you feel pressure in your knees, that's not what we're trying to do. You should feel this in the large muscle groups of the legs, okay? Inhale down, exhale up. I think I can get a little wider here. A couple more of these. So the reason I wanted to do this this one is this is a sort of a stability pose and a power pose. And this is a good way to prepare for our balance. And I wanted to do every week something that's specifically for balance. I mean, Tai Chi is just so good for balance. Everything we do in Tai Chi is good for balance. But I know some of you want a specific exercise for your balance. So we'll do that. And we'll do it from the form if we can, because there's all sorts of balances in the form. So take it one more deep breath here, and then exhale, press up, and then release. Shake your legs out. Maybe have a sip of water. Yeah, take a little water break. All right, so later in our form, further on than most of us have gotten to, there are these 2 flower blossom kicks, one in each direction, and they're similar to a lot of the kicks in the slow form and the young family form, but the way that I execute, the best way to execute these kicks, I found, is the way that Master Ma Yue Liang does it in the fast form. He does a thing with his arms, which is really neat. So what I'm going to say, so basically it's this kick where you just kind of go out like that. And you've seen it in a lot of different forms. But the problem is, with this, is the arm closest to you is to the outside. And this won't work if somebody grabs you, because remember, these all come from martial arts, right? It looks nice, it's nice and open. But Master Ma comes in and he gets really small. He brings this arm on the inside. So if somebody was to grab, he would offer this arm, and he'd still be able to get that arm out. Very similar to our movement called draw the bucket from the well. So we have this well, and then we draw the bucket from the well. So if somebody was up against me here, I could still come with this back fist, right? And again, I'm not too worried about the martial aspects of it, but it's just good to know why we're doing what we're doing. So, but this also adds, the way Master Ma does it, it also adds this very closed, and then fully open. And it's very light and airy, and again, it's a good balance. It's known by many different things, but I've heard it, I think the best name I've heard is a flower blossom kick, because you're closing, you're completely closed, even your fist, like a empty fist, and then turn and open. The turning is important, and then you can step over. So this is what we do later on in our form. We do it twice, turn and open. So I'm not just going out, I'm turning, see? So I'll go side to side so you can see. I think I've given you enough information to start doing this. You can do it with me, and we'll spend, the nice thing about this too, also in our form, is that you know that, I shouldn't say this, you know that when you lose your balance eventually, you can actually use that as part of your movement. So I can stay here until I'm about to lose my balance, and then if I feel that I'm losing my balance, I can execute the kick and then just fall into that foot. But we never want to fall into that foot, but you know you're heading in that direction anyway. So we'll come here, close, and then turn and open. Everything's pointed here. pointed fingers, and even the foot is pointed, and it is either a kick with the toe or this side of the foot like that. So we'll come in here, close, open. In the fast form, it's a little faster here, like that. But we'll go slow. I'm getting too close to you. And then maybe I'll go side to side here, just for a different view. Okay, so I'm going to try to, and I didn't really mean to fall into that foot, but I just mean that you know that there's an end to this, and you're not going to be staying here forever. And when you're ready, you kick, and then you know you're going to come into this foot. So it's the same thing. I'll show you another example of that. See, I'm not falling, but that is where I'm headed. I am headed in that direction. Okay, great. So what I was going to show you, another case of that, is in our Phoenix cools its wings. We gain the inside, we open, and then there's a little kick. And most of the time, almost all the time, we're going to retreat after this kick. And the only foot that you can retreat with is this kicking foot. So you can hold this pose if you're working on your balance. You can hold this pose until you lose your balance, and then just step back. And a lot of times we step back with a roll back. So if you did it on the other side, come to here. If you knew that rolling back to your other side is your next movement, you stay here as long as you're comfortable. You begin to lose your balance, prepare for rollback, and then step back. So I didn't lose my balance, but I knew where I was going. And so just to be clear, we don't fall into our steps. But if you were gonna, I guess what I'm saying is, if you were gonna fall, it's better to fall where you're supposed to fall than to fall in a different direction entirely. That's all I'm saying. Okay, great. So let's, we've done that. And then, since many of us are not up to those kicks yet, right? Let's do draw the bucket from the well. Compare that to draw the bucket from the well. Again, we are closed. So we're making this sort of hoop shape, and then oftentimes we turn and then draw the bucket from the well. So again, this is not an arm movement. I mean, yes, it's an arm movement, but Yerning K. Chen calls this, the Chinese translation is torso flung punch. So how can I get my torso into this? Well, I'm going to exaggerate as much as I can. So maybe pull your torso in and then extend out. So in and out, torso flung punch. And to do it, you have to have the proper arm on the outside. So what this is about, so we make this little hoop shape first, and the punching hand is on the inside. So in this case, in our form, our partner is very close to us, and we have to keep our partner off of us. And even if they pressure us in, we can still execute this punch, right? So that's where that movement comes from when you see it in the form. So anyway, so this hoop shape, this hand is going to be on the inside, and this hoop shape, you don't see this much in Qigong, but but its opposite, its cousin or brother, cross hands, is a very famous movement in the form. So this is just like a cross hands that got tired, right? So cross hands is here, and this is here. So like that, you should be able to do it on either side. It would be so like that. Not as good. Yeah, it's always harder on the left side. Yeah, in fact, in our form, I don't think we do it in the left side, but something to play around with. So, so those are some reviews, and we can take another water break, and then we can do our form, or we'll do the first 8 movements. Okay, so we'll do the first 8 movements of the A side. Reminder, this is my right hand, this is my left hand. You can't mirror me now, so do the best you can. If you were to mirror me, you'd be using your left hand when I'm using my right. It would be much harder for you than it is for me. So if you want to try it, go for it, but it's very difficult. So you're probably just going to mirror me, or you can just use this video later and as you practice bit by bit by bit, or try to follow along however you want to do it. So we're going to relax and go inside. Okay, very important to meditate in our resting posture. I hope there's no distractions where you are. You can tune them out. You can either deal with them right now before you start, or you can just tune them out. Turn your focus inward. All your consciousness is on the form we're about to do. So the meditative aspects of practicing with a video could be one of the only other advantages of using a video, is that you're probably all by yourself right now. In class, we have chattering and socializing right up until the moment that we start the form. Okay, let's begin. Shift your weight into your right foot, slide the left foot up. The left hand begins its seemingly endless journey. Slide the right foot through, pull the left hand back, driving the right arm forward. That's white. Snake darts out its tongue. Left hand never stops moving. Okay, the hands cross. This is reach up to touch the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. As the arms come up high enough, the left foot slides next to the right. Drop the right hand to the waist again. Step the right foot up. And this is carry hammer. So we're shifted forward. Let's shift back for our white crane. And then the right hand's going to float up and replace the left hand. The left hand can just drop down, and this is white ape. Swings through branches. Okay. Shift back right and pivot the left foot. Step the right foot up and over, shifting right. And then shift back left, elbow strikes the heart. Shift right, ring the gong. Shift left and strike a tiger. I'm going to step my foot around. As soon as that foot lands, then I can do my sort of hooking punch. And then I'm going to step my right foot up to the corner. This is hand strums the lute. Shift my weight back. Arms come down. Pivot the right foot around as far as you're comfortable. Step the left foot in and back. And inspect horse's mouth. And then a half a step back with the right foot as the arms go out and down, and a half step back with the left foot as the arms come out on the other side and up, ending in our dragon pose. And then we're just about done. Make sure your weight's on your back foot just by doing an implied kick. And let's stop here. Hey, it's brand new. How's it going? All right, another little sip of water, and then we'll do the B side. What's up? You want to go out? I'll be right back. Okay, all set to do the B side. You were deep in meditation. Okay, so relax. And I'm facing this direction. You'll be able to see me for the most number of movements this way. Okay, so I'm in my resting posture. Relax completely. All right, let's begin. Shift your weight into your left foot. Slide the right foot back. As you shift your weight back, you'll naturally turn to the right. That's okay. And turning back to the left is really what steps the left foot in and back. And it's really what brings the arms up to here. If you did it faster, you'd see. And then we'll go into single whip. Turning right, then turning back left. Keep turning left, step around, strike a tiger right. Okay, keep turning left. That pulls the left foot in and back. It pulls the right hand back and down. It's just called pull. And then the next movement is just called push. And then we can step the left foot up here, or the fancy step all the way through to here. And then one more step, and then shoulder strike. Okay, shift your weight back into your left foot. Here we go with the movement that we practiced. Draw the bucket from the well. I pivoted my foot. I stepped in and back. I'm ready to go. Using your whole body. Draw the bucket from the well. And then shift back. The hands come up to the height of the chest. Left palm up, right palm down. Pivot the right foot. So you're going to lose me right here, but I'll continue to describe what I'm doing. I step in and back, and I just sink my hands down. Okay, and then roll the left palm under, and do white snake, darts out its tongue. So I'm going to just jump to the side. Okay, so if I could stop here, or if I wanted to continue, or if I wanted to flip back over to the A side, this hand would come around. I'd be in 7 stars, carry hammer, white crane, white ape swings through branches, elbow strikes the heart, ring the gong. So now you can't see me again. Well, sort of. Strike a tiger. Strum the lute. Inspect horse's mouth. And a dragon pose. Okay, so excellent. Well, that's great. So I don't have to do it again because you can just rewind it if you want to do it again. So we will end with our favorite Qigong. We do this every time. It's the simplest one we know. It's the one you're most likely to remember if you forget everything else that we did today. And it also acts as a way to just feel the different energies of the different movements that we practiced today. It's like a barometer. just going to do one more of these. If you finish before I do, just meditate. Okay, so I will end with a quote attributed to the Buddha. This is going out to the new person who tuned in and they're like, who is this guy and why is he teaching Tai Chi this way? This is not the way I learned it. So the Buddha said, focus not on the teacher, but on the teachings. Focus not on the words, but on the spirit of the words. And thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, if this is Sunday, as it was intended. Otherwise, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.